seen play out in GCC. We can mention the map veto for you, as it's actually just sent us straight into Agent Select. It is Corrode. Looking at the bans, Cairo, we had KC removing Pearl and Split, Ramboot, Sunset and Abyss, with the final two bans, Haven and Bind, leaving us on Corrode. How are we feeling about this one?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't really surprise me that much, if I'm being completely honest. For KC, it was a map that they were okay at, you know. So with that being said, the only thing that I would kind of comment on that I'm worried at is Corrode is very momentum based, and something that we talked a lot about in these best of ones is that when we get into a momentum based map, sometimes it can feel out of your hands, whereas in a best of 3 you don't necessarily mind it as much.
Yeah, that is very true. Fortunately for KC, they will be starting on the defender's side, the favoured side, I think, for most teams in current meta Corrode. And they're playing this double initiator composition with Anasilia on the KO again. And when I was speaking about the core of their game plan, it's a lot of proactive measures. And Anasilia is right at the heart of that, alongside GX, positioning herself very often in ways to find value from the flash drives. I know KO isn't the most meta pick, certainly not on Corrode either, but I'll be interested to see how it plays out here.
Yeah, I think like at least you'll be able to go and challenge these spaces, you know, with the fact that the Whaley can dive deep and the flashes from KO can also go deep. I'm looking to see how those timings work out, and overall, with the fact that Ramboot has some new players in the mix, I'm expecting that Karmine Corp to have a little bit more cohesion in terms of how they play with each other. So that's the big comment I would say coming into this first round.
And for KC as well, I said that defender side was preferential. In that most recent game against Zipto, they took 7 rounds to just 1 loss on their attack when things flipped over. They haven't lost a map of Corrode so far, but Ramboot may just be the biggest test that they go up against yet. It's a double duelist with Phoenix in the mix, very quickly trying to take some space into B main. Alkia spots it, and here's the proactivity. Hinder lands, and it's actually Anasilia that lines up 3 off the back of it. Quick response, but only Hyber remains.
Yeah, but Hyber at least able to get 1 back into the mix and has an opportunity to go deep and has taken it. 2 players for KC are looking to join up so they can play off one another, not allowing Hyber to get those ones. Remember, Hyber has a lot of experience though, so in a clutch you're expecting him to at least do something.
We called him Hat-Trick Hyber for a reason, always good for his 3. But can he make it any better? 2 more to finish off this clutch attempt. A 1 versus 4 as it is. With the spike on his back, has taken quite some time to finally finish and settle on the decision of an A plant.
Problem is though, is KC have cleared out all of the B site, so Hyber, his time is starting to tick. He needs to get a move on now.
Interesting to see what utility is left on these players, and as you can see, Hyber has the Haunt back online. You're expecting the same to be said on the KC side. He's pathed his way back through middle and is going to end up on B here in the end. Now KC know. The plant coming in and the spike down. Hyber offered a 1 versus 1 towards Elbow. It's Glance on the other side and she's not going to land the shots. Haunt goes in for a reveal and Hyber very quickly snaps. That's 4 now under his belt.
Yeah, but the Viper knows exactly where Hyber is.
Sapia, but she's going to drop to Hyber. It's an ace from him. The reveal not required in the 1 versus 1. And with that, Ramboot get the pistol.
I mean, I see that Hyber does have experience, so in a clutch you're expecting him to at least get something done, make it close. And KC, unfortunately for them, they just let it slip. It should not have been that position, should not have allowed Hyber to win it out. Should have easily just been a quick trade. But that's unfortunate. We move into the next round. The attack starting things off right with a Hyber ace.
You see still showing their aggression, thinly veiled behind this B main smoke to get an early orb onto Anasilia, who's already more than halfway towards the first null command. That triple in the pistol, helping her out plenty. But as you say, Cairo, it's these rounds where KC have advantages that they really need to find ways to convert. It's the small errors that will separate the teams, the big teams in the end, from being that much better.
Yeah, and that was something that we actually saw from Alternate Attacks Jade. Remember, we had the interview just after the Splendor Spotlight, and she said that, I mean, a lot of the big decision-making was to do with the fact, the big differences was to do with the decision-making and how decisive some of these players were.
That's the thing, it's the difference between a couple of seconds and just the one that then separates some of these rosters in terms of quality. But right now, KC still going toe-to-toe. In this round, just looking to die to the spike and not give over any orbs as they've managed to pick up a few of their own. You can see Hyber is just 2 off. And in finding GX, that Nightfall might just be ready for the bonus.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for Ramboot, is to start to get those eco frags, and they're even going to try and assault in towards where KC was holding and find every single body. So orbs here, there and everywhere for Ramboot.
You're seeing it's interesting actually, Lukey, one of the ones slightly slower in building that up, despite the Phoenix having the lowest ultimate cost, and that is going to be a huge part of the attack side game plan here for Ramboot and what it is that they're trying to do. A map which, as the attack side, you're able to get that main control fairly easily. But it's Michelle, not, you know, 7Ms, 8Ms, whatever it is, on the other duel list as well, that we're going to have to be looking out for.
POV when I have a microwave in my lobby.
When your cat falls asleep on your keyboard.
Nice kill from Glance, and it's going to be a collapse through mid, and it ends up being an even trade all over. But finding the last one on Anacelia is going to be a problem, but Safia, an opportunity here. The timing, but well known about, and Ramboot find everything they were looking for.
Very well read. GX has 3 players in front of her. A clutch of similar gravity to what Hyber was able to do in the pistol, but this the bonus, counting for almost equally as much. KC's money will be in ruins regardless of how this round concludes. And so GX needs to get stuck in, but has already guessed wrong. It's going to be an A-site plant here, and Ramboot have plenty of time to take up those post-plant positions.
Yeah, I think for GX, this is probably more of a save call. I thought for a minute that she was trying to gamble towards that B site, catch a player off guard, but instead throws in the white towel and will await that next round. So 3-0 from Ramboot straight off the bat. And overall, we can see that KC aren't scared of the challenge in front of them, trying to be aggressive on this defender's side, trying to take the fight to Ramboot. And I feel as if they've been quite unlucky with some of the trades not going their way.
Yeah, it's these micro differences again that we were talking about earlier, but another big thing for me is looking at their GCC performance. The meta reads and with the cycles of refreshables, the utility right now, the best way they've found to approach it has just been keep a really high level of intensity right from the barrier drop, and that's what you're seeing here. They're either immediately fighting for some space or looking for a re-challenge early after reacting off of some initial information. Where you really saw them get broken down by the bigger teams like Shopify Rebellion, for example, was in the mid-round where they started to get picked apart, and you can already see Ramboot starting to do some of that with the punishment there onto Safia, for example. If they can find early success and then channel themselves into a retake, which also looked really good for them, those are the win conditions that I see for KC right now.
Well, the defender's side starting to bleed a little in terms of that economy. That's the big statement coming into the next round, just on the sheer fact that if the attack can continue to punish this defense, then it's going to get even more difficult. Alkia taken out, and on top of that, you're seeing the paranoia wasted. At least a rifle recovered onto GX, though.
Yeah, GX just trying to re-challenge there a little bit, keep this rifle available. It was passed to Alkia as he has the tools with that refract. Good information mid here, but you can see Lukey's already taken that first orb, looking for a bit more.
This is just turning into a deathmatch, it seems, as KC continue to try their luck in these duels, but it's just not working out, not going their way. It won't happen on a lesser buy. And the rest of Ramboot will make their way to get that spike plant down.
Yeah, it's a really nice insert here as well. Top mid from Jabu. He's going to find the final 2 players for it as well to finish the round flawlessly. Ramboot really in tune with what KC are trying to do at the moment. You saw that mid re-clear get shut down because Ramboot were waiting for it. They knew it was going to happen.
That's a nice flick on from Michelle. And then on top of that, like, I mean, Ramboot just able to use that weapon advantage. Flawless now. So, KC, this is a chance to come back in and fight. We have ultimates in the mix. Most importantly, run it back and a Nightfall for the attack. But we do have Anacilia with the null command, the key ultimate, which will be able to shut all that down.
You can see here, Ramboot just look like they're going to go for the fast B-pop. KC taking mid control means they do have quick rotations though.
That they do, and Alkia already out, shutting down that run it back that we spoke about earlier. The rifles trying to get active, and it's Glance in the end. A 1 versus 2 now for GX to try and clutch up, but it's Ramboot once again that find themselves at an advantage.
She's already here and can isolate the player on default.
That's the big thing, although the Phoenix starting to look now, just seen the shoulder. And GX starting to walk round, but there is a timing from high, but he's walked all the way to top mid. In fact, they might not know. A chance for GX goes away fleetingly. Luki able to finish out, and Ramboot up to 5.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for GX there. Felt like just for a moment she might have had the timing. As I say, KC put high priority in mid to start things off. And with that, they gain access to a much quicker rotation time, shaving 10 seconds or so off of getting bodies on B. But Ramboot, with the ults that they had built up in these first 4 rounds, already looking indomitable. You can see the next couple come right back up after using those initial ones. So Smart 7 is immediately called upon and has to try and come up with something to turn this around.
I mean, that is right, is that I mean, there is still a buy somewhat into the next. We're already seeing 3 rifles bought up by KC. But as you said, Smart 7 really needs to speak about how KC have been playing. And I like the fact that they haven't been scared to take the fights by against Ramboot. And you can see the cohesion, what we spoke about, the micro game. But it just feels as if like there's just a final missing detail every single time in these engagements, whether that's a second or 2 off of the second wave to attack in for the trades, and that's what's allowing Ramboot to really settle themselves and take advantages.
Yeah, I think the game plan, as good as it is, has become readable fairly early on for how Ramboot want to counter it, whether it is just holding together and waiting for these reclears. And on the KC side, sure, yeah, you can commend them as much as you like for taking those fights. They're going to want these duels every day of the week. But as I say, it's been a little too straightforward for Ramboot right now. Par for the course. The B site is open for them in this eco. And so at the very least, KC are going to have ridded the attack side of that convergent paths, the Waylay ult.
Yeah, but look at this, Ramboot feels as if they already know what's happening straight away, looking to try and challenge in towards the backlines. Even trade though through Alkia's Sheriff. Is there anything more that can be done, especially with a rifle and ultimates in the mix? Alkia unfortunately having to bust away from the action. And well, it's up to Safia now to make an approach from the backlines. It doesn't work out. Up to the remaining 2 through main, and time ticking away. A problem continues to arise for KC as Ramboot converts 6 and ultimates used for the defender's side.
Yeah, 2 ults, 2 big ones used there, the Waylay and Fade ult. Really sharp shots from Alkia. We know how good she can be. Everybody saw it in Seoul. But as soon as Safia falls here, the remaining attackers can very quickly tune and change that after plant to what it is that KC were doing, pushing together in main. Now this round is going to be a much better look at what they have to offer here. Very early on, Alkia taking the A main duel with this AWP and having revealed Jabu. It's an early opening pick.
The problem is Ramboot have made mid their own and decided to go elsewhere, away from the operator and onto the B site. Ramboot Club have exactly everything they need, and Alkia will have to just go for a save.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Op in hand. You trade out for the rifle and give it a go, or you just end up saving, and that is the much more likely of the two. Ramboot have money, so they can start chasing this if they want to. But yeah, I think it's not even a bad idea to bring the scoreboard up right now, because KC are going to have their buy broken yet again. Maybe they can look to force around this op. Alkia was good for that first pick. It was set up really nicely by Glance's Horn. But then beyond that, B just feels so empty as soon as they lose that mid-duel.
Yeah, I mean, mid-duels, right? Because they won through the A-link position, then through top mid, and then it just felt like a death train that was not going to stop all aboard the Ramboot Club. Up to 7, advantage confirmed, and I know that we spoke about momentum, but this is now starting to feel like a death warrant, starting to be written on KC.
Yeah, it's starting to get to that point. I'm interested to see what it is they want to do with the operator here. Double controller, very common on this map, of course. And in terms of what the setup looks like, you're seeing it's common B-wall to give them better mid-control here, KC. We've seen the quick B rotations from them already. And this time, it's going to be more support required on A. Alkia, the first line of defense, hits the shot. No problem, the run it back gone.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it was used for, to identify the operator, and they have the information they need now, Ramboot.
Cilia still with that null command available. Confirms the advantage for KC. GX is going to drop though, and Alkia on a very defensive line. Both players flashed us, and Asilia goes underhand, finds Luki and Alkia the next. KC starting to go through the motions, and Ramboot on the back foot again. These flashes from Anasilia putting her in a position of power, but Michelle has the perfect tracking. And now Alkia's been called to action. The spike is dropped in elbow, and she would have guessed correctly. It's a missed shot, a wayward one on the way out. And Ramboot can recollect the spike now.
I have the spike.
Yeah, they can. And, well, they can also get to a safe plant spot as well. Just hide away. It's a hard re-clear for the operator.
Spike planted.
Deep corner. Shoulder yet to be spotted. Lovely flick from Alkia. But Michelle able to outshine the Waylay on the other side of the server in this round. Ramboot's streak of 8 will not stop. And despite KC's best efforts, they still can't break the ice.
Yeah, it feels like they're doomed, you know. Every single time they get into a good position, something goes awry. I mean, here from Michelle is just insane. The spray working out in the end. And KC, I mean, I feel as if they're being so hard done by at the minute. Up to 8, still these ultimates keep being used perfectly by Ramboot, the way that they're used round on round, slowly filtered through. The momentum, that's why it's so firmly in the attacker's side.
Yeah, Alkia will just have been spotted by Luki there. Speaking of the ultimates, KC in a stronger position right now. Thinking about a potential use of that null command in a retake situation, and more than anything, wouldn't, you know, be against Safia using this pit early just to cordon off an area of the map, but the economy in dire straits, the chances few and far between. That's a really nice combo with the flash and reveal, but it doesn't net anything.
All the players starting to combine their forces outside of B. It will be Michelle to break the deadlock on towards the site, and, well, will also break on towards Safia as she goes down. So with the site taken and the ultimate invested, they continue on forward, looking to assault and using the shorty in that position, not to be advised, but Luki comes in as a substitute, a bait and switch, and one that works out to great effect. Ramboot Club finish off in style.
Yeah, 9 from 9, and no notes in terms of Ramboot's performances. They've had a few flawlesses along the way. That's another one of them. You're just really looking at KC right now and wondering, where's the quick fix? Where's the solution? Now that they will have rifles in the next round, you're immediately thinking about an investment of that Viper's Pit. Safia was thinking about it a little bit when she heard footsteps in B main. There isn't going to be an op-out this time for Alkia, but she's one of a few players that have ultimates to work with. There is on the attack side, however.
Yeah, it continues to be, again, Ramboot taking the time. Clutch tries to knife the Prowler, but here comes the operator. GX has just been seen on the jump spot, and well, having to invest smoke.
Smartly played by her. You can see this disrespect on the dark cover, though. Walking out is
The
Michelle.
timing.
There's a timing here as well. GX has no idea. And as the sole defender on the A site right now, a huge gap potentially opens up. If Michelle plays this timing right, then KC are going to be hamstrung on this right-hand side.
You can now see that Ramboot are interested on the A side, especially with the fact that Michelle's all the way around behind GX.
Yeah. Realised that he has the timing, glanced the one in the firing line, but plays the discipline for a little bit more, doesn't get it. GX's position, now known as Lukey drops, and GX is going to find a couple. That gets her on the board nice and early. With the players blinded up, GX walks away with a quad. Captain having impact. And now the best possible chance KC have had so far to take themselves around.
You can see that the Omen doesn't want to try and attempt to go for the spike plant either. Wants a duel first.
Brilliant read from Kiz there, maybe
Spike
just hearing the
planted.
step. Now the plant comes in. And again, looks to try and isolate Safia towards spawn. She doesn't want to overstep here, but gets caught in the crossfire. And so a chance opens up in this 3 versus 1. Kiz, 2 kills deep. But it's Alkia at the end to save KC before the bell tolls again. Their first round on Corrode.
It's still an expensive one, and it will be one which they no longer have the loss bonus in either. That's the other thing to consider. With all 4 players being lost, it's not as pretty as it might seem, but KC now have an opportunity to try and build something for Ramboot. Had plenty of money in the bank before moving in towards this next one, so they won't be sweating towards the end of this half.
It was a really smart reposition from GX. Her first 4 kills of the map, but there's no better time to get started. KC requiring the confidence that comes from their leader. Finding kills. Safia a little overwhelmed here in the early pit, and there was info from the 0 point that Ramboot had numbers here, and Alasilia and GX have found a couple of them. Op set up in mid, that's the next. It's a 5v2.
This is exactly what they're looking for as they start to punish the disrespect that Ramboot was giving them. And finding themselves 3 players to the good and still having to clear through a Viper's pit. It feels like this should be a KC round.
And this is now one of those situations as well where KC have the numbers and they're still keeping this proactivity. Look through middle has info, but Safia drops and so the pit goes. It's now a 4 versus 2 and Ramboot have chances but limited time. Michelle is actually watching out for this and finds both. We're at a 2-on-2 and Ramboot are going to cancel their plans on the B site and look elsewhere.
Yeah, they've heard the shots from
30
both players, so
seconds
now it's a foot race towards the A side.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh, headshot through the side of the wall and Anasilia finishes off by finding Michelle. Hyber in another clutch situation, has the time, wins the race, and will get the spike in on A.
Oh, but the ultimate invested is perfect, has it?
Caught by the waylay here. No response from Hyber this time. KC doubling up. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Last round.
The defender's side, not their best, but heading on to the attack with 3 rounds, and you feel like they're still in this game.
Yeah, but they've got to get the 3rd round before before we can even start to count that. Alkia unlucky not to get a 3rd kill there. But this next round, you can see now that Ramboot starting to be aware of what KC want to do. So moving in towards the next round, 5 ultimates. Ramboot are just going to send it.
Toxins going up.
Yeah, they've been hyper-fixated with this B execution. Caught by the paranoia, there's a reveal in the mix there as well. Trying to flood into the backside space here. RKC, and they're paying with the cost of their lives for it. GX making sure those deaths don't go in vain as 2 more come from her Guardian. But it's only Alkia left now, and she's made this a 2 versus 1
Last
after
player standing.
Anasilia drops from her knees.
Spike planted.
Problem is the crossfires from heaven as well. Really hard to clear for Alkia.
Just a question of, does Michelle offer up this peak? Ramboot, no reason to give KC what they're going to be looking for here. Feed into Alkia's hands. But a switching of the weaponry has conceded her positioning, and so Ramboot already starting to cycle through some of that utility to bring the third player on their side into factor. Time, it's starting to play against Alkia now. Looking for the first of those duels. She's clean, but not clean enough to snap to Luki's head as well. Double digits in the opening 12 for Ramboot. And while KC have responded, that response might not be enough.
Yeah, it feels like a mouse's squeak in the conversation where Ramboot have been loud and proud of what they've been able to get so far. Double digits, 10. And a pistol round win could maybe seal the fate of KCGC. So what's the plans? You were speaking about what KC were able to do on the attack on Corrode last time they played against in GCC.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. 7 rounds on their attack against Zipto, but that was just as momentum-based as what we were talking about before. Stomp in the first map helped set them up for it. Here, it's just 2 rounds taken. Minimal returns, but Anasilia has first blood. It's Michelle gone. While there's numbers on site here for Ramboot, KC aren't immediately going to send it in.
I like this. They stop and wait for the reaction.
You can see Luki does find one in the courtyard onto GX, so now that is a little bit of an issue here. KC slowing up the pace and Ramboot unwavering in their own positions on site. Things starting to break out towards elbow. You can see Alkia does pick up the next. It goes traded, but there's Glance. And Safia closing the net. Means that KC have another 3 versus 1 in the pistol round.
Spike planted.
With the spike planted, crossfires now, it should be impossible for Jabu to get back into the site.
Does have a snake bite to try and break one of these crossfires off, but Glance collecting the early information has called for backup, and you can see all 3 KC members trying to get involved. Jabu will land the snake bite at the feet of the KC players, but deal no damage in the process, no decay, and for that reason, no round on the board. KC get a pistol. Perhaps they should have had 2, but at the very least, it is a foundation to work with in this second half.
Well, the next buy as well, if they can make it a convincing anti-eco, and then the bonus looks good, that's where we start to think, do you know what, KC, you've got a real chance of coming back in towards this one. We're up to 10-3, 10-4, okay. And then if we get 10-5, you're already half in that lead. Yeah, Ramboot should start to sweat a little bit, but we're a long way away from that.
Doing a thing.
Let's see, Ramboot have called for this A main brawl, and Alki is only good for the first before dropping back. Kiers able to pick up 2 in the process. In-game leader as Ramboot have made their way onto A before KC are going to arrive on site. Ivor is here, but can't thread the needle on the first. Still a couple players with heads turned as they walk in, but that's it. KC keep the round clean. 2 can't buy for 3, but 3 can buy for 2, so the money looking pretty good coming into their bonus.
Yeah, and it's a rifle saved as well from the last. So overall, very happy with what KC were able to do. Alkia able to have a rifle into the next one, you'd imagine, as we saw GX donate last time to the duelist. I love that Alkia is not afraid to just give her life to the cause of KC gaining space. You know, always ready and willing to brawl, always ready to try and do what the team needs.
We are just in a slight technical pause here, which will hopefully be resolved in due course. We'll give you any updates as and when we get them. But I completely agree with the Alkia point. I think the only thing you want Alkia for is just the rest of the round as well. No one on KC as mechanically gifted as her. I would say Safia's pretty close. The scoreboard doesn't reflect it fairly here, but when she builds up that confidence, right, when she's feeling it, I think she's probably the second best aimer on this team alongside all of the rest. We know how capable they can be. But yeah, it's just about going through the motions. On the Ramboot side of things, I mean, this is a team made up of challengers, EMEA quality players, Cairo. We saw a few of them representing HGE at the start of this year before that project collapsed.
God, yeah.
And yeah, we know that they're capable of it. There's an interesting link between KC and this Ramboot team through Kiers, the in-game leader, is that he used to play at KPI alongside the current G2 assistant coach Shaq, who was someone that Mimi has like directly consulted when asking about compositions and changes and things on G2 Gozen. So there is some overlap there. It's a bit of a stretch, but I think it's important to mention that these players have history, right? These Ramboot players, especially Kiers, is one of the more senior figures on this team now, as its leader.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that definitely was a stretch, mate. You know, you'd probably pull a hammy with that one, but overall, yeah, I can see where you're going with it. But I think that the big thing that people need to remember, right? Because I know that there's like people who will be in the chat being like, "Oh, what's happened to KC?" Is that overall, like they have just come back from GCC. Listen, these girls will probably have had a break, and this is the first official since being knocked out. You know, so overall, like they're not going to come in like hot and ready and ready to like shoot everything that comes their way. Give them like a game or two, and I guarantee that they're going to start knocking things out the park. You know, even if this does end up being a loss, this is the perfect warm-up game because you can see they're already starting to get better. Just an update for folks at home: we do have a tech pause with an issue on the KC side of things. Believe it was packet loss, so trying to get that fixed, and then we'll be quickly back into server.
Yeah, it's a long trip from Seoul to Paris, so it's a much shorter walk, I think, across the capital for KC should they make it to the land stage and the fourth phase of the competition here. But of course, that's a long way away. 14 hours and 20 minutes non-stop with Air France. Of course, other airlines are available, but yeah, right. And that's the thing with GCC as well, right? Like it's a celebration. A lot of these players stay all the way until the finals because you don't get all of those lands throughout the year, right? KC didn't make it to the grand final of Stage 3 EMEA either, so that they didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, and that's just the way like the kind of world works, and I felt really bad for KC as well. Like they started off the tournament fantastically, and I felt as if like GCC was almost like a metaphor for how the year was for KC. Started off brilliantly, but as soon as it came to crunch time, as soon as it came towards like winning that split 3 and having a golden road essentially all the way to GCC, they failed, right? And that's why like. I mean, that's why you have to respect the domination that G2 Gozen had over the years because nobody's been able to repeat it in the year that G2 wasn't up to task. So that just goes to show like the consistency that roster had over the years is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I mean, this even as a project, you still have to give it credit for what it managed to achieve. And that's not me sort of trying to counter your point or anything, but I think it's crazy. We hold this KC team in such high regard in Game Changers when the majority of it was signed at the beginning of this year. Alkia, Nasilia, GX, Safia, you're all joining in January. Glance, the only one left from the previous project that we had seen that had to play through contenders. But here they are, and looking at the purchases happening in game as well, that should be us ready to head back in. So, closing thoughts on the podcast, Cairo. What is it now that KC have to do to win this bonus?
I mean, I guess like the big thing is be prepared for Ramboot to try and fight. And you look at mid, there's 4 players lined up ready to fight this for Ramboot. So KC, beware.
A-Link looks like where they're going to be challenging, as well as top mid. That immediate fade haunt that we've heard quite a lot about stops any player pushing in beyond a smoke. But KC are just going to feign presence there as it's a quick pivot towards A main. But with Ramboot having this early control, they'll be ready for a rotation.
Yeah, they're ready. They've got all the information. You can see Kia's ready to try and gain that, and he has done so successfully. But just keep your eye and glance late into the round, and a couple of bullets, stray bullets, hitting on towards Luki.
Yeah, tried to fake out B as the initiator. They're going to be without the Fade utility to clear the corners here on the A site, but it matters not. Alkia still as sharp as a razor. Cuts it open and is looking for a little bit more. Retake coming through 2 and 2. Both Link and CT. Alkia caught by the blind and Michelle knocking her down. Now KC backed up into elbow, and Glance's arrival is late in the round, but Safia has managed to pick one up here. Util to be used back onto this spike defusal, which still isn't in progress. Tapped for a second time as the full wrap around puts them in a really tough spot to try and defend this. Glance looking to be the hero, and it's a missed burst at the second and then third time of asking. She'll finally find it, and KC do take the bonus after all.
Oh, my heart was in my mouth, Hazza. Oh my God, Glance, what are you doing to us? But listen, the important thing, KC get the round win. And I mean, you can see Ramboot, they want to brawl. They want KC to play into their game, which they have been since the start. But this time round, KC, they're ready for it. You can see that they're winning these fights. Glance with a huge 3K. And oh my God, I don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we'll have to.
There.
But such a key moment in this KC comeback on Corrode, the favoured attack side, feeling that way right now. It could all change with an eco win though. Luki has one. And
no.
Refracting Alkia is a huge mistake. It's a 5 versus 2. Blink and you'll miss it.
Oh, and there's also Luki's going for more. Like, he's not stopping.
One enemy remaining.
It doesn't look like Anacilia's ready for this. This might just be a flawless eco from Ramboot. Unless Glance can pull off a 1 versus 5. The hinder falls right on her lap. And Ramboot have done it again. The villains in this story. And I have to say, when it plays out like that as well, it's just so frustrating for KC.
It's frustrating for the fans at home watching as well, because you hit the craziest shots and then a round like that happens. It's like trying to take a penalty, right? And sorry, it's like scoring a screamer, then you try to take a penalty and you kick the ground instead, you know? Like, that was the easiest round to win for Ramboot, for KC, come on. But Ramboot, they've recall things back out, find themselves up to 11, and a chance to really end out this game now.
Yeah, KC well within the eye of the storm. Just when it looked like clear skies were up ahead, they've missed a huge opportunity to continue building momentum in the first 4 rounds of the half. You can see the priority from Ramboot to try and fight into middle. Alkia in this duel against Luki. He's going to miss out this time as Luki flashes back in. Glance is able to punish, so KC in another round finding first blood.
Highway, you can see, is interested by the concept of taking another peek, does so, easily traded out. So the numbers keep growing for KC. 1 ahead now because of what Michelle was able to do, instead of denying that luck. But the last remaining 3 look to execute into B.
Yeah, KC
Face your fear!
making absolutely no guesses as to where it is they're heading. The B site taken
30
through their
seconds
Nightfall and Null Command combination. Michelle has a smoke to try and play around as he's encroaching on these players' site.
He's done so successfully.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, Safia's going to find the shot though to dig him out, and with that, Kiers has nowhere to go. 5-round deficit is restored again. But KC really need to build on from this time.
Yeah, I mean, the difference that I would say, though, is that KC have been a bit liberal with their use of ultimates. I know that they really wanted to win that last round, but Yeah, I was worried that when the Nightfall missed that the players would be able to find a timing on the remaining 3. It nearly happened. But we come into the next, and the money isn't the worst for Ramboot, but it could easily turn things around for KC. Ultimate's in play though to keep them afloat. That's the big difference between Ramboot and KC.
Oh, great use of the knife there from Anasilia. Stop an early paranoia from coming through, but you can see Kiers still has an option to use it, elects to. The refract sends Alkia all the way back, but with a kill, Hyber pocketed. Well, he is back through here, and it's going to just fully scorch Anasilia. No way out. Luki's still going, walking away with 3 in his stride. And GX calling quits on the situation. This ult not towards the open B site, but rather a step back to potentially take 2 forwards.
Yeah, the players have completely fell for it, hook, line and sinker, but Michelle, you can see, interested elsewhere, and deposited deep on mid will be the quickest rotate back into A.
Yeah, this positioning may be null and void though if KC just continue making strides forwards towards the A site, as it looks like they are right now. Into a potential retake situation, you've got to be thinking about the Waylay ult though, of course.
30 seconds left.
And I think for KC,
Ramboot haven't gambled correctly here.
they haven't. I think the big thing for KC is they have time to clear out the site, which they have done, but they also have time to take a step forward, take a step in the right direction, look for a pick. But the way Safi is going, she's going to miss her timing, and it allows all 3 players to combine in that main courtyard position, and it's going to be essentially a 3 versus 2 from now on.
GX doesn't want to overexpose herself here as from the shadows directly checks her position, and the Waylay ult invested isn't going to land. Neither is the Hinder. GX given the time of day in this situation and calling for support, doesn't need it. 2 brilliant shots from GX, and Safia finishing it off, closing the case for KC. The 3 versus 2 won out entirely by them.
Yeah, and I would love to say don't count out GX, but we head into what could potentially be an eco, so don't count out Ramboot either. A great start all in, but with ultimates invested, KC come out the back of this round pretty. I mean, they're wasting, giving no value to Ramboot and what they had in their back pocket. So this could be the last buy that we see from the Spanish side.
Huge opportunity for KC to really get themselves back into this game. Hyber landing decay, run it back, invested into mid, but KC landing all of the shots. Michelle walks away with 1, that's Anasilia gone, and such a huge tool, a component to the team. But as long as Alkia keeps hitting shots, is not a problem. Kiers has though, and makes it a 1v1.
Haunt and Glance's belt to use if she really needs it, but it's gone elsewhere. So Jabu should be considered in the position he's coming from, and you can see exactly that's where Glance is looking.
The newest member in the Ramboot side, only joined in the previous phase, up against KC's longest standing player. Glance has already won a clutch, and she's gonna win another one here as well. Closes the gap to just 3 rounds, giving KC the best possible chance on Corrode.
Round by round, brick by brick, this blue wall is coming back to haunt Ramboot, and they need to be careful because the momentum, as we've spoken about, is so important on Corrode. It doesn't matter how KC win, it just matters if they win, and they keep doing so. That money keeps ticking down lower and lower. KC have a real opportunity once again.
Yeah, Ramboot went on the half buy in the previous though, so there are full rifles here. Aspas-esque play from Michelle in the way that he fired over the top of the A main half wall.
But look at Alkia.
Alkia is embedded towards top mid nice and early here, so could be in the perfect position to catch a rotation potentially, but that's if there's anything left. Michelle finding a couple more kills, but that's when Alkia strikes. Glance another in transition, and Alkia able to solely shoulder the burden of this KC side. It does fall onto Glance in the end, but she's done it twice. Can she do it again?
It's another glance clutch. Spike beam attempted. It won't be successful,
planted.
but look how quickly Ramboot are in taking up that space.
The GCC winner, sent back from Seoul, now needs to be their saviour. Corners cleared by Jabu. Glance not going to spot anything before this defuse starts happening. Being worked on. Hands are busy inside the smoke. Jabu's just going to force stick it. And so Glance just doesn't get the chance. A very well played 2 versus 1 by Ramboot there. Denying the veteran an opportunity to bring this game even closer.
Yeah, match point now for Ramboot. 4 chances to close it out. And this is a very nice play overall. Michelle just, you can see the instincts of the duelist coming through. And Alkia as well, just unfortunate not to get or consider the Omen in this position. Looks away at the wrong time. Glance as well, not far away either. Casey, no margin for error now. Have to be perfect in closing out this map.
Ramboot early on taking mid. You can see they've got the Nightfall as well. They're going to be looking to react quickly at what KC want to do. But this mid duel just keeps getting won by Alkia.
Luki under pressure, under fire. He's the next one gone. KC have won every single duel. I said they had to be perfect. They almost were. But it's Kears looking to defend this site. A second. Can they get a third? Yes, they can. So it brings it into the opportunity of a potential win for Jabu. But in every clutch attempt so far, he has not been successful.
Yeah, not without some support, that's for sure. The previous one did work out, but now KC with the first of 4 chances to close here. There is a pit, there is an orb, tools for Jabu to work with.
Attempt with the orb, fast attack with the spike and looking to swing out. Was caught by the seas, and Anacelia will finish that. So, back within 3 are KC.
Big round for KC to win. Looking at them, just trying to break the money here of Ramboot, who just seem to be good for it every single time. So important that they're winning these mid-duels, and ever since we've seen that tech pause, it just feels like all of the gear has been working as it was supposed to from the very start for KC. Barely seeing a missed shot as they're warming up one by one, and there we go. Ramboot finally without a stitch to wear. They're left on the Sheriffs.
Bring them down.
Yeah, Ramboot have been very good at making things last as long as possible, you know. Problem with this round again, as we look back to that ultimate cycle and look how deep the space that Ramboot Club have been able to find through mid.
Alkia trying to tee this one up. The refract soon expiring and has done. A deep mid control from Ramboot is worrying, like you say, and it's on these ecos before where Luki was finding so much value from the Sheriff. This time, kept at arm's length by Anacelia. Safest pair of hands on the KC side. Or so you'd think. But now into this execution where Jabu has just sat under the crosshair of Alkia, who had spotted them on the screen, but wasn't able to find any pick. KC cleaning up the sight hold though, and getting the spike down.
Yeah, overall, double digits. KC finally getting within touch distance of their opponents. As we expect right now, Kears will have absolutely nothing to say in this round with just the Sheriff. Has been good for Sheriff shots before, but will not even get a chance in this one. So, as we said, touch distance between them and Ramboot.
Yeah, and it gets to the point now where the economy cycle is fully set in motion. Max loss bonus, or close to it, should mean that if KC win this round, then Ramboot will be forced to eco, or at least put as much money as they possibly can into the final round of the map of regulation. From a 10-2 half, this has been such an admirable effort from KC. The question is, can they force an extension of play? Can they find these final 2 rounds? Or are Ramboot going to spoil the underdog story before it can conclude? GX has been heard.
Yeah. an interesting play because the rest of the pack, you can see, are trying to crunch in, but so disconnected. And well, they have been able to grab the site at least. Spike going down.
Oh, this position is disgusting from Kiers in the corner. Just waiting for a timing to peek out. Alkia on the receiving end. And Asilia the next. Cairo, this is it. The red carpet is rolled out for Ramboot.
Yeah, Ramboot looking to finish things out. Not unless clans can clutch up in a 1 versus 4. But that's a big if. The players sent forward, and Ramboot, all they need to do is defuse. It's GG's in the chat. And Ramboot are your winners in this first best of 1.
Defenders win.
Yeah, they will move forward into the 1-0 pot in the Swiss stage, whereas KC, unfortunately enough,